Hey, this is Steve, Lake Marine and RV. I was reading a boat forum earlier, and this was done by Grand Larceny, who's a petty first class officer. And this was a response in a forum. I wanted to talk to you about it or read it to you, actually. Um, and I get a lot of responses where people say, "Oh, the boat's too expensive," or something like that, or "I bought another boat, on Facebook Marketplace or whatever." And I love Facebook Marketplace. I sell a lot and I buy a lot of stuff in my personal life on there. But as you read forums and stuff like this, he really had some good information where you can learn a ton. He said when you're making a boat decision, make a good decision. There are far too many, oops, I bought a rotten boat, or oops, the block is cracked. There's types of stories. Motors milkshaked, things like that. So don't become another one of these statistics. Cosmetics are probably the last thing you should be worried about when you're buying a boat, a used boat. There are many threads out there that can help you. And when you're like, okay, don't get caught up in, I need a boat this weekend, and all of a sudden you end up with a bad boat. It's going to cost you way more. First off, if a boat hasn't run for years and years and years, then don't count on getting the fuel. The fuel has to come out safely out of it. You're going to have to replace that gas. That's just with any motor. And maybe rebuild the carb, just like you would with a motorcycle. Don't even try to add some wonder chemical or the old gas, as it will not really help. Minimal replacements for that on a boat will be your impeller, your bellows, your possible ignition, stuff like that. Wires, plugs, tune-up type stuff, and maybe even steering cables. The list goes on and on and on in a boat. They're not just like a car or anything like that. Secondly, be sure to properly evaluate the transom, the stingers, the floor, the hull, and all the wooden components of the boat. You never know. Even at a glance, if something looks good, but even if the seats are shredded just a little bit or the carpet's kind of shot, you might find the wood that's supporting those things is gone as well. Water is bad with floors, right? Spongy floors, no good. Likely means you're going to need a major repair job, and that lies ahead. So you don't fall through that thing. Potentially so major as it may cost you to scrap your entire boat. So if they won't let you drill the transom, the stingers, refill the holes with epoxy and stuff like that, then just run away. Third, motors need to be checked properly. The compression test, things for milk shaking, which happens often, and can be avoided if they maintenance did and caught things properly. Before committing to a boat, if it won't start or run on the water or things like that, you need, if you don't really be reluctant. There's no such thing as a cheap boat. And if you get a cheap boat, you're really lucky. Consider yourself very lucky. You can just plunk down anything, less than $5,000 for any size boat, and you may get something reliable, and you may be crazy. You'll spend the time and the money in the end, no matter what. Even a Bennington at $150,000 has a wooden floor. Wood, water. Eventually, you're going to need a floor. Eventually. So these suggestions are things. Don't underestimate the abilities. Don't underestimate, the investment that you're making. It's very important that boat be seaworthy. You may pay a little bit more, or you may go to a trusted dealer like Lake Marine and RV that has a shop that will certify these type of things. The dealer prep goes through compression tests, does this, even water test. Make sure. Don't focus just on the sale price. You might get hurt, and it may cost you way more. So just get a better boat and make sure that boat runs reasonably well with no surprises. Thank you. I'm Steve with Lake Marine and RV in Woodstock. Like us on Facebook.